The greatest SummerSlam match in history is going to be decided in this video. Myself and 19 other YouTube channels are collaborating together, 20 in total, to determine what is the greatest SummerSlam match of all time. One by one, drawn at random, each channel is going to give their selection of what they think is the greatest match in SummerSlam history, and at the end, the match with the most votes is voted the greatest match in SummerSlam history. Of course, during intervals of this video, I'll be keeping you up to date with the scoreboards, and before we get started, I want to say a huge thank you to every channel that was involved in this video, making it possible. Every link to every channel is in the description of this video, so if you're watching this right now, head to the description, click on every link to every channel, go and support these fantastic content creators that do great stuff. Honestly, there is some fantastic content out there from this lot that you need to be checking out. So without further ado, let's not waste any time getting in with entry number 1. And this guy has done some interviews with the likes of Diamond Dallas Page, Mickie James, Rob Van Dam, and many, many more. Does topical videos as well. It is the one and only Joey, the Angle Podcast, here on SCW. What is the greatest SummerSlam match in history?
What's up, everyone? Joey Carney here from the Angle Podcast. Glad to be invited back from Steve and the SCW channel. Great content, great work. I love watching them. What is the best SummerSlam match of all time? For me, that's quite simple. 2002 SummerSlam, Triple H versus Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels been out of action for years with a back injury, retiring in a sense, but coming back to face Triple H, who he thought was his best friend. Triple H turning on Shawn Michaels, one of the biggest, best betrayal stories in WWE history. Such violence, such gore, such everything that goes into an Extreme Rules match, you got in this match. Shawn Michaels coming back out of retirement, defeating Triple H, and just beginning the whole summer of a feud between the two. Greatest match in SummerSlam history. My favorite SummerSlam pay-per-view of all time. One of my favorite matches of all time. Two of the greatest of all time. Doesn't get any better than this. Shawn Michaels, Triple H, SummerSlam 2002, unsanctioned match. Again, thanks Steve. Thanks SCW channel. Always great work. And don't forget to subscribe to their channel.
Massive thank you to Joey there from the Angle Podcast. Fantastic as always, and listen to him. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, hit it below, hit the bell as well. You can be notified each and every time a new video is released on the channel. But what a selection to kick things off. Shawn Michaels versus Triple H in the unsanctioned match from SummerSlam 2002. Will it be number 1 at the end of the video? We're going to have to wait and see. Let's get in over with entry number 2, and she is one of the hardest working people in our wrestling community. A media personality, as well as doing her own podcast, A Wrestling Gal. It is the excellent Ella J here on SCW.
What is up, everybody? Ella J here, pro wrestling media personality, here to talk about what I think is the greatest WWE SummerSlam match of all time. As we all know, SummerSlam is right around the corner, coming up in a few weeks. Of course, it is the biggest party of the summer, and there is such a long history of WWE SummerSlam classics, so it's really hard to narrow it down, but I think I've got it narrowed down to one. It includes some of my favorites of all time, but really, it's also a bunch of high-flying action, but also a lot of chaos and carnage. Of course, I'm talking about the first ever 3-way team TLC match at SummerSlam 2000 between the Dudley Boyz, Edge and Christian, and the Hardy Boyz. Of course, Edge and Christian walked in as the WWF Tag Team Champions, and they walked out with the titles as well. There was obviously tables, ladders, and chairs, so many high-flying moves. You know, these three teams have a storied history against each other and together at some points. But, you know, that match in particular has a lot of good memories. There's a lot of my favorite superstars in that match. In the end, you know, Jeff Hardy and Devon Dudley going on top of the ladder falls away. They're clawing at it. Jeff kicks down Devon Dudley, and then Jeff's just hanging there by the frame with the titles there. Then Edge and Christian knock him off to climb the ladder and then secure the win to retain the WWF Tag Team titles. You know, those three teams really are the essence, part of the essence of the Attitude Era. They take things to the extreme, so I think it was cool for them to rekindle their rivalry, rekindle their magic, reignite it, you know, at SummerSlam 2000. So that match went on for about 20 minutes, I believe. Really one of their greatest matches, I think, in their rivalries with each other. So I think I have to go with that. SummerSlam 2000 triple threat TLC match for the WWF tag team titles. Edge and Christian retained there. Thought it maybe could have gone to the Hardy Boys, you know, looking back on it. But Edge and Christian pulling out the win in a really high caliber, really highly competitive, but also like highly dangerous matchup. TLC, that's definitely a grueling stipulation. So, but they pulled it out. So I have to say that is, I think, possibly the greatest SummerSlam match ever.
Massive thank you to Ella J there, and what a selection. I remember I was wowed the first time I watched TLC 1 there with Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys. You're not going to see so much from me now for the next few entries because we're going to let a few more votes come flying in. And of course, the next time you will see me, I'll be giving you the up-to-date standings. But without further ado then, let's get in entry number 3. And it's a debutant on the channel. She does content for Women's Wrestling Talk as well as the Big Pop Theory podcast. It is none other than the super Shay Sawyer here on SCW.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Sawyer from the Big Pop Theory podcast and Women's Wrestling Talk podcast. I am going to go with something a little different because I feel like a lot of people are going to say a lot of matches with men. I love to always bring up my ladies, so I'm going to say Trish Stratus versus Charlotte Flair at SummerSlam 2019 being my favorite. I love this match. I think that they both delivered. I think it was a great era versus era match. You know, Charlotte is seen now as like that top person, and back then Trish was seen as that top person, so them going head to head was very cool. It was like a dream match come to life. And also Trish proved a lot of people wrong. She hadn't been in a singles match for 8 years, and I think she completely excelled. And you know, Charlotte was great as she always is. I thought it was a really, really great match, and it definitely stands high with me. So that would be my pick. You can find me at ShaySawyer_.
Hi, it's Liz.
And it's Jerry.
And we are from the Irish Wrestling Podcast. And we are here to chat about some of the best SummerSlam matches ever held. So I'm going to throw it over to yourself, Jerry. Mm-hmm. Your favourite SummerSlam match?
My favourite SummerSlam match is probably a bit of a cliche at this stage, but it was SummerSlam 92, main event, Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog. I said it before in the past, SummerSlam 92 was the first VHS tape that I ever bought, yes. And I watched that pay-per-view over and over and over. And yeah, that match just smashed it. And you know, the fact that people are still talking about it is one of the best matches of all time, not just SummerSlam matches. So it's right up there with all the best matches. So that's my number one pick.
Yeah, and it really, I mean, love him or hate him, it really showed how much Bret Hart was worth to the industry. Huge, like
carried the whole match.
This is it, you see. So like, that's a massive shout from him. So that's a really, really good call. I'm going to take a completely different take on it, because I probably could have picked 4 if I'm honest. So I just thought I'd pick maybe something a little bit different. And for me, it would be SummerSlam 2014, where John Cena was taken to Suplex City by Brock Lesnar. Why, you may ask? Number of reasons. Firstly, because not long before it, Brock had obviously ended the Undertaker's streak. I think it was essential that he absolutely pulverized somebody who was like top card level, because we needed to take, because everyone was in disbelief over the streak, but we needed to take a little bit serious and keep that momentum going. So for him to take John Cena # to Suplex City is brilliant booking. You can't deny it, and the fact that John Cena went along with it just is such a show of his character. It's unbelievable. And secondly, because it started off one of the most iconic shirts ever in wrestling history merch, right? I have it. Everyone has a Suplex City shirt, and I still wear it to this day. It is hanging, but I would still wear it. So absolutely SummerSlam 2014 for me. So that's our choices.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve.
Bye.
Have a good one, everyone.
What's up, everybody? It's Kyle from the Apron Bump podcast. lots of competition, but as far as the number one match, at least as far as I'm concerned, SummerSlam 2002, Triple H versus Shawn Michaels, unsanctioned. First of all, the context of Shawn Michaels returning to the ring over 1,600 days since his last match. Thought he was retired, thought he was done. Nope, he's back, and now he's facing off against his former best friend, Triple H. The build up to this match was fantastic. You had the friendship between them. Triple H attacked him in the parking lot. You have the whole Click backstory, the whole DX backstory. Just a very personal issue and a very emotional match this was. Now, obviously, you got the brutality, you got the chairs, the trash cans, the ladders, the tables. All of that added to this match and gave it an element of brutality, an element of violence, and just made it overall entertaining. But the storytelling of this match is really what hits home for me here. Because Shawn Michaels, like I said, hasn't been wrestling for over 4 years. And he can't just come back and immediately be the top guy. And that's what they illustrate in the match. Because in the beginning, Triple H attacks his back. Shawn immediately crumples. Everyone watching is like, man, should he have come back? Will he ever be the same? And then as the match progresses, you see Shawn slowly start to become the Heartbreak Kid again. The kip up towards the beginning of the match gets a huge pop because nobody thought that he could still be that athletic, much less jump off ladders through tables, jump off the top rope, do all of the moonsaults and all of the things that he did in the past. And as the match progressed, it became more clear that this version of Shawn Michaels, is not only as good as he used to be, but might even be better. But the match it was great false finishes, great moments, awesome spots, the emotion all throughout, and the finish of Shawn countering the pedigree into a roll-up for the win. The audience went ballistic. It was such a great moment, and it's just a testament to the quality of the match that led up to that moment. And then obviously you have the post-match beatdown, which furthered the storytelling and set up a feud that would go on and off for a few years after that. So when you take into account the build-up, the match itself, and how they set themselves up for the future of these two fighting each other, there's no match in SummerSlam history that's accomplished all of these things as well as old boy Trips and HB Shizzle did in this match.
Hello, Carl and Anthony here from the A to the K Wrestling Show, here to give you our favourite SummerSlam matches of all time.
Oh yes. So I'll kick it off with a quick, Carl. I'll keep it as brief as possible. I know these need to be relatively short clips. I'm going to go with Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle. I think roughly 2003 in the culmination of their feud at the time. I know they had a great few matches, and we won't talk about the Shooting Star Press at WrestleMania. But I think just the chemistry these two always had when they were sort of up against each other was just, again, what can you say? Them two, just fantastic.
Yes.
And obviously this was the point when Kurt actually managed to tap Brock out with the ankle lock.
Indeed.
So
you know, hell of a moment.
That hasn't been done very often.
But you know, Anthony, not as good as my favourite match of all time, if I do say so myself. Because how can it not be Bret the Hitman Hart versus the British Bulldog,
I had to guess.
Davey Boy Smith?
I had to guess. I thought you were going to go with this one.
Well, obviously.
I mean, it's iconic. I'm with British, so.
Well, absolutely. So I remember I was about, 4-year-old Carl sat at home watching it live. My sister was rooting for Bret. My dad was rooting for a British Bulldog. I was stuck in the middle. I didn't know who to pick. It was fucking brilliant. Can we swear? Can we swear? I don't know. We did anyway. So we're going to go with, I'm going to go with that. And you're going to go with yours.
I mean, if we have to pick just one, I'll give you that one. That is an absolutely legendary match. So
absolutely. So yeah, there's ours, and we're excited to see what everyone else picks.
Indeed.
Massive thank you there to A to the K Wrestling Show, and don't worry, yes, you can swear. Also, a massive thank you to Apron Bump. Got to love the attention to detail as always, as well as Liz and Jerry from Irish Wrestling Entertainment. Top choices as always, and of course, a big thank you to Shay Sawyer once again. So let's see where the standings are for the first time in this video, and as we can see, with 2 votes each, we've got SummerSlam 1992, the British Bulldog versus Bret the Hitman Hart, and of course from 2002, that unsanctioned match between Shawn Michaels and Triple H leads the way. And with 1 vote each, we've got the original TLC match from SummerSlam 2000, Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle from SummerSlam 2003, Brock Lesnar versus John Cena from 2014, and Trish Stratus versus Charlotte Flair from 2019. Plenty of time for it all to change, but without further ado, the only way it can do is by getting more wrestling YouTube channels on here to give their take on what is the greatest SummerSlam match in history. He's been away from his channel for a little while, but I'm pleased to say we've managed to get him involved on this video. Barry makes a return. That's right, Non-Stop Wrestling Chat is here once again. What do you think is the greatest SummerSlam match of all time? I think I've got an idea.
Hi Steve, thanks for asking me to be on your show today again. I know I've not uploaded on my channel for a while, that will be changing soon guys, but the question today is, why do I think Bret Hart versus Owen Hart in that blue steel cage is the greatest SummerSlam match of all time? Now I could talk about this for hours on end about how great this match is and why it is hands down the best match in SummerSlam history, but what I'll do is I'll kind of try and sum it up so Steve's not editing this for ages. The reason I think it's the best match in SummerSlam history is it has everything. It has the cool blue steel cage, they use the steel cage effectively, it's got 2 fantastic wrestlers in Bret Hart and Owen Hart, it's got a story that spans from childhood all the way to, well, when it took place, and it progresses that story as well. Obviously you've got that your older brother, younger brother kind of rivalry anyway, so that is there. You've got betrayal at the end when Jim the Neidhart comes out and attacks Bret Hart, the family gets involved, so it sets up that story for the future. And without that steel cage being there, it's just a fantastic match anyway. But they use that steel cage perfectly, there's moments in it. The match is about, say, 40 minutes, I think, including entrances, about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and it is just pieced together perfectly. Everything in it, from Owen nearly getting out, Owen nearly getting the win, Bret just clutching it, and then he's just ready to touch out, but Owen pulls him back in, and it's just a fantastic match. And the reason I think it's the best match in SummerSlam history is you can show any non-wrestling fan this, and by the end of it they'll go, that was actually a good match. It seems real, there's no flippy floppy shit in it, it's just really a good, fantastic match. Now, that's me summing that up guys. There is videos on my channel of me talking about this for ages, and there is going to be one for me just reviewing this match and talking about it in further detail as well coming up in the future. Go subscribe to me, because there'll be a countdown and stuff like that where the channel's going to go when I come back. Subscribe to SCW Steve, who continuously puts out fantastic content, and yeah, that's why I think it's the best match in SummerSlam history. Pretty much. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. If you have seen it and no saw it in, say, the past year, go watch it, because it is a beautiful match. I've not really been watching wrestling that much recently, and I went back and watched it to do this review, and it's made me fall in love with it. I've been watching wrestling pretty much every day since I've watched it again. It's made me just get some passion back for it. Anyway guys, hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for asking me to be on this again, Steve.
What's the word, y'all? This is Sanko from Know the Ropes Podcast, and on behalf of Know the Ropes Podcast, I'd like to thank Steve and the SCW Wrestling Channel for inviting us for a SummerSlam video that we're about to give you, and it is about the best SummerSlam match of all time, and I have to go with SummerSlam 2014, John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, when Brock Lesnar dominated John Cena in an incredible fashion. I believe that was the peak in the rise of the Beast incarnate Brock Lesnar at that time. We did not expect the John Cena to get humiliated and just beat down like that by Brock Lesnar, but it happened. So with that being the turnaround point for Brock Lesnar and a shocking surprise for everybody to see John Cena get beat like that, that is my favorite SummerSlam match of all time. Thank you. Appreciate Steve, all you do. Check in No Rose Podcast.
Before I get into my personal opinion as far as SummerSlam matches go, or at least my favorite in the last few years, shout out to SCW Wrestling for allowing me the opportunity to be a part of this video. thank you so much. But we got to talk about SummerSlam. And as far as my favorite match, this is one that people really don't talk about like that, but I hope people still do. And that is CM Punk versus Jeff Hardy for the World Heavyweight Championship in a ladder match. This was one of my favorite matches in the last decade. You had two of the best workers. You had the rivalry, or at least my favorite rivalry of 2009, and it added more prestige to the World Heavyweight Championship since they allowed it to main event over the WWE Championship. And I definitely think this definitely elevated both characters in the long run. So yeah, there you have it. My favorite match, at least my opinion, as far as one of the greatest matches of all time, CM Punk, Jeff Hardy for the World Heavyweight Championship.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tino at Tino's Time, the Southside Boys, Tino's Time Wrestling, and everything else. And Steve, SCW Steve, the man, the myth, the legend, was nice enough to let me come on to this video. And his question for today was, what is the greatest SummerSlam match in my opinion? And in my opinion, I know it may not be everybody's favorite and everything like that, and it might be everybody's favorite. But my greatest in the SummerSlam match I remember most, it's kind of funny how it's kind of happened all these years later. But it's back in 2005, SummerSlam 2005 that was, where Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero, they put a briefcase all the way up atop a ladder. We had to climb the ladder to success for the custody of Dominic. And now all these years later, Dominic's the biggest heel. Everybody hates him. And maybe Rey should have just let Dominic go to Eddie. And maybe he should have let Eddie win that match. But, guys, cannot even believe that SummerSlam was all these years ago back in 2005. I still go back to watch that SummerSlam match to this day. One of my favorites. And there's so many great SummerSlam moments, matches, and everything else. But for some odd reason, that's always the match that will always be stuck in my head and in my memory. So, Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, the ladder match for the custody of Dominic is my favorite and the greatest SummerSlam match in my opinion.
The custody of Dominic Mysterio. Do you think if they'd known all this time later they've actually been fighting to win that match, probably it would have been like, can you take him, knowing how much heel heat Dom has in 2023? But what a great choice there from Tino's Time, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter what time zone you are in the world. When you check your phone, when you check your watch, it is always Tino's Time. Thank you very much for your selection, as well as Kicking It With Leo. A great selection there with CM Punk and Jeff Hardy. That TLC match is absolutely sublime. In fact, I might have to go and watch that after this video is done, as well as Cinco from No The Ropes podcast. A fantastic choice with Brock Lesnar and John Cena. And let's not forget Non-Stop Wrestling Chat, Barry back on the scene there, of course, with that beautiful blue steel cage, Bret the Hitman Hart versus Owen Hart, which of course is going to be a watch along on this channel very soon, so make sure to turn notifications for that. But let's see what it's done to the scoreboard, and let's see who's top of the table. And as we can see, we've got 3 matches now in top spot on 2 votes each. British Bulldog versus Bret Hart from 92. We've got Shawn Michaels versus Triple H unsanctioned from 2002. And of course, the annihilation of John Cena via Brock Lesnar at 2014. Of course, with 1 vote each, then we've got a host of matches here. Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, the beautiful blue steel cage from 94. The original TLC match from 2000. We've got Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle 2003. Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero, the ladder match for the custody of Dominic in 2005. Jeff Hardy versus CM Punk, the TLC match from 2009, and of course Trish Stratus versus Charlotte Flair from 2019. So that's how things are looking at the halfway stage of this video. Still 10 more YouTube channels to go, including, well, my vote is still to come as well. But we're going to get straight back into it, and we're going to get someone on the channel now who does fantastic content, many predictions, reviews, does watch-alongs, does retro content as well. It is none other than Juggernaut 097 here on SCW.
What's up? This is Justin from the Juggernaut Show, and I just want to thank SCW Wrestling for letting me be on his channel again, because I always love being a part of these videos, so I really appreciate that, Steve. I really appreciate it a lot. But you asked the question, what is the best SummerSlam match in history? So there's a lot of good SummerSlam matches, over the years. There's so many that are great, but there's one that really comes to mind. And the one that comes to mind is from 2002. You had Triple H and Shawn Michaels in a non-sanctioned match. So you know, we had Shawn Michaels coming back after 4 years, you know, without being in the ring. And, you know, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, once friends, now bitter enemies. And this was a brutal match. I mean, this match went, you know, and they got quite a bit of time in this match to work. And, man, like I said, Shawn Michaels, he just looked like he was in great shape. One of the best shape of his life. And this was like, this was the run of his life, in my opinion. Like, from 2002 to on, yeah, this was the best Shawn Michaels. Yeah, but Shawn Michaels and Triple H from SummerSlam 02, that is my favorite match. You know, and they had some great matches, you know, throughout this feud, but this one stands out to me as the best match in this feud here. So, yeah, my favorite match is Triple H and Shawn Michaels from SummerSlam 2002.
Hey everybody, this is Katrina from NCAT We Trust, and I am giving you guys my greatest SummerSlam match of all time. And so it was a little hard, and I might cheat just a little bit because there are two matches that stand out to me. The first match being between AJ Styles and John Cena in SummerSlam at the Barclays in 2016, an absolute classic of a match. Just great work. I believe it was over a 20-minute match. Absolutely fantastic match. And of course, being the really crazy obsessed Hardy Boys fan that I was, I am gonna go with the Hardy Boys versus Christian and Edge versus the Dudley Boys for the WWF tag titles at SummerSlam 2000. Obviously, again, slightly biased because the Hardy Boys are my guys, but that match was an absolute banger. Why some people like TLC 2 a little bit more, this for me was the match that I begged to make sure I got that pay-per-view when I was younger. And so those are my picks for the greatest SummerSlam matches. Bye.
Steve, thanks once again for including me in one of your impossible tasks, and it is another doozy that requires me to do hours upon hours of research. And this time you want to know my favourite SummerSlam of all time. For me, I'm going to go with 92. I'm going to be a little bit biased, just I know it is in Wembley, it is in London, but the finish with Bret and Bulldog and the crowd I think is amazing. It goes down in history as one of the greatest moments in SummerSlam history, as we know every time they do a video package or something to do with SummerSlam, Bret and Bulldog is always one of their moments. Again, thanks for the headache that you've caused me to do this, but it's always a pleasure, man. Look forward to speaking to you soon. Peace.
Hello everybody, it's Robbie here from We Talk Media. Thank you to Steve so much for inviting me on his channel, and today he's asked me to find out what is the greatest SummerSlam match ever. Now, I could have went back and watched some of the classics, you know, there's a lot of good SummerSlam matches. I thought I'd stick, because of my age, I thought I'd stick to some of the more recent matches. So that's why I went with AJ Styles versus John Cena, SummerSlam 2016. Now, when I was picking a match, I didn't want to just pick one because of the actual match itself, you know, I thought it'd be a wee bit more creative. So I looked at more how the feud started and how it's went in past matches and the build up to this match, and I thought, well, this one's perfect, you know. AJ debuted in 2016 and now they'll be at the Royal Rumble. Obviously John Cena's a long time favourite. I thought AJ was very impressive in the Royal Rumble in his debut, and then when the feud started, you know, for hardcore fans that knew AJ from New Japan, etc., would have thought this is a dream match. And to be honest, I can't claim that I knew much about AJ before he joined WWE, but he was a real talent when I saw him, because I watched the Royal Rumble live and I was impressed with how he was. So this was a match I was looking forward to too when it started, you know. Money in the Bank, we get AJ versus John, and that's sort of the first match that they had, and obviously AJ won, very impressive in that match of course. John Cena impressive as always, both men put on a show. So it was 1-0 to AJ going into SummerSlam. The rivalry continued, you know, they had some great promos, Cena doing his best as always, and AJ really impressive as well. Now obviously Money in the Bank it was, AJ did get some help from Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Going into this match, AJ also said, look, I'll just face you one-on-one in the ring, and that's exactly what they done. So in terms of the actual match itself, the crowd on the night was entirely in favour of AJ Styles. I don't think they seemed to like Cena at all, to be honest, getting into the match. But the match itself, I mean, it was amazing, and that's why I've picked it as the greatest SummerSlam match of all time, because both men really lived up to it. they were reversing each other's moves or hitting moves that I've never even seen before. Obviously Cena ended up with a Super A, and Styles was hitting phenomenal forearms and they were kicking out, and yeah, I just thought overall with the crowd involved it was a very good match. AJ ultimately picked up the win, but it was a great win for AJ, one that probably most people saw coming. I think Cena, in terms of how the feud was going, needed the win, but it really helped boost AJ. You know, when you're beating one of the all-time greats, John Cena, it's bound to boost you up. But that was my choice for the match. It was a really good match. Crowd was on fire during the whole thing, I thought. And I thought AJ deserved to win. But thank you so much to Steve for letting me on.
Massive thank you to Robbie Collins there, We Talk Media there, and I've got to say, what a great selection. John Cena versus AJ Styles from 2016, absolute banger there. Doing some great content on We Talk Media over there, by the way, wrestling content, as well as a bit of reviewing to your football as well. Soccer, of course, if you're from the United States. Massive thank you as well to NX Steve, as always, kind of a bit of a combo there, but with a great SummerSlam and SummerSlam match in one, and you can't argue a bit of 92, can you? The British Bulldog and Bret the Hitman Hart. In Cat We Trust, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Gotta love it with the selections there, of course, from Women's Wrestling Talk also, and a big thank you as always from Juggernaut 0970 with his selection of Shawn Michaels versus Triple H, the unsanctioned match. So let's see then what it's done to that scoreboard. So in joint top spot now with 3 votes each, it's British Bulldog versus Bret the Hitman Hart from 1992 and Shawn Michaels versus Triple H from 2002. In third place, we've got 3 matches now with 2 votes each. TLC 1 from the year 2000, we've got Brock Lesnar versus John Cena from 2014, and John Cena versus AJ Styles picking up 2 votes. Didn't have any votes before that last round, now is in third place, and we've got a host of matches there with 1 vote each. 5 more channels on the way for you now, giving their vote of what is the greatest SummerSlam match of all time. It can all still change who will come out with the top spot, but I'm going to need a duo next now to give their votes. 2 very familiar faces on this channel and do great work in their own right as well. Astrid Pizarro, of course, does Astrid Asks, and of course Ed Fries as well. Both together are part of the great YouTube channel Our Local Establishment, who are also on Twitch as well. Take it away, what's your vote for the greatest SummerSlam match ever?
Hi, I'm OLED. This is the Natural Astrid Pizarro. We're from Our Local Establishment. We just want to thank Steve again for letting us be a part of all of these wonderful lists.
My favorite one, well, I say one of my favorite ones, I have more than one. One of my favorite ones is SummerSlam 2018 is Carmella versus Becky versus Charlotte. I love it more than anything for the storytelling we had between Becky and Charlotte there. And, you know, having Becky lose because of Charlotte and having Charlotte win the title, hugging Becky at the end only for Becky to turn and become the man that we know the man became. To be the crowd reaction alone made that moment really special, and just it's the turn that I expected. Just didn't expect it to happen during the pay-per-view in itself. So I love seeing and being able to witness that as it was happening. It was just incredible.
For me, I gotta go back to my childhood. I'm all about, a lot of these lists for me is about nostalgia. I can't go wrong without talking about SummerSlam history. Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon, ladder match for the IEC title, Electric Boogaloo. Second time around, they did it at WrestleMania, it stole the show, they're gonna do it again. Just an absolutely fantastic match. There's ladder matches before they figured out the ladder match mold of, like, these are the things you do. It's not 10,000 high spots and jumping off the top of the ladder. I mean, there is some of that, but it's such a different thing. They were told they couldn't use the ladder as a weapon before the match, so they had to throw out half the match and kind of figure it out on the fly. You get the Shawn Michaels moonshot here, where he's trying to climb the ladder and the Razor pulls his pants down and half the crowd gets to see Shawn's ass. Not knowing how to position the ladder, like everybody knows now, as we're going to see with Money in the Bank. You know, just the not positioning it. Him trying to bunny hop the ladder. At one point, he jumps up to grab the championship off the hook, and he just falls at the end of the match. Like, it's the final moments of the match, and he can't even get the title off because he can't reach. The ladder's too far away. You'd never see that now, but back in '95, that was totally allowable. That was totally normal. So, for me, Razor versus Shawn, ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. Thank you again, Steve. We greatly appreciate it. You can find us every Tuesday night on our local establishment on Twitch as we talk all things NXT. Until the next time, goodbye.
Bye.
What is going on, everybody? It is Kyle Gagliardi from the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Here once again on SCW, the wrestling channel. Shout out to Steve for inviting me on one of these videos. This one, we're talking about the greatest SummerSlam match of all time. And I like to put it on the record every time I collaborate with Steve that I've only been watching wrestling since 2011. And I haven't seen much from previous years. So my answer might be different than the rest that you have already heard or are about to hear. And my answer goes back to 2016, John Cena versus AJ Styles. This match, you know, had a lot of expectations, a lot of hype around it, and it over-delivered, in my opinion. AJ Styles in 2016, arguably the greatest wrestler on the planet, still is, but his match with John Cena in 2016, man, was just one match I will never forget. And for me, it is the greatest match in SummerSlam history.
Here we are, entry number 17. I finally get to give my take on what I think is the greatest SummerSlam match ever. And I've got to say, 4 of my 5 top SummerSlam matches have been featured in this video already. Shawn Michaels versus Triple H, that unsanctioned match. TLC, the original from 2000. Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog from SummerSlam 1992. John Cena versus AJ Styles from 2016. And well, the other match, if you're wondering what it is in my top 5, is Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect from 1991. Of course, the classic for the IC title in Madison Square Garden. My top overall choice, though, it's got to go to 1992. It's got to be British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith versus Bret the Hitman Hart. Honestly, for me as a child growing up, just getting into wrestling for the first time around WrestleMania 8 was sort of hit and miss of watching shows to that point. When I got to SummerSlam 1992 and I watched these two go at it, 2 top babyfaces fighting over the Intercontinental Championship. Bret the Hitman Hart, for me, was my favourite wrestler, or one of my favourite wrestlers when it first started out, versus the hometown boy of the British Bulldog. I honestly didn't know what way to go, and every near fall I was literally hooked to the TV screen. This is the match that hooked me as a fan, that's kept me here all these years later. If you go back and pinpoint what was the match that did it, this was the one. So for me, how could I not vote it as the greatest SummerSlam match of all time? You always remember what brought you to the dance, and this match brought me to the dance.
Hi, this is Katie from the She Lead Showcase. So Steve asked me my favorite SummerSlam match. I had to really think about this. I was gonna go with Roman Cena from SummerSlam 2021 in Vegas because I was there, but I decided not to. I'm going a different route. I'm going Bianca Becky from SummerSlam 22. A, the match was fantastic. B, it was a rematch, kind of, from the year prior when Becky returned. So not only was this match between the two of them fantastic, it also saw the formation of Damage Control, which is super cool to witness. Bayley came back from injury, Dakota Kai came back to the company after being released, and Io Sky, was being utilized. So because of those reasons, and, you know, women's wrestling, I think I'm gonna have to go Bianca Becky SummerSlam in Nashville.
Hello everyone, this is your boy Just, and I'm about to give you my greatest SummerSlam of all time. I mean, hands down, the 02 version of SummerSlam was probably the best ever. I mean, look at the card stack. I mean, you got Brock Lesnar versus The Rock, Eddie Guerrero versus Edge, Chris Jericho versus Ric Flair. Don't worry about who RVD is facing. And then you had Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle. This is the debut of Rey Mysterio. Hands down, this card was stacked. But let's talk about the real reason why we're here. The real reason why we're here is talking about the greatest SummerSlam match ever. And to me, it's HBK versus Triple H. I mean, HBK is back. Not just back and is returning, but BAC, Born Again Christian. I mean, we all know how it is. I mean, he was rejuvenated. I mean, after 4 years, it didn't seem like he missed a step. Literally, he was so damn good. I don't even remember the last time that he fought. He fought so great. I mean, when you look back at this match, it's timeless. It has everything that you want. And for me, don't come at me. This is the greatest match of all time. And I am about to go back and forth with you. So there it is, y'all. Greatest match of all time, SummerSlam, HBK versus Triple H. This is your boy Judge. You can find me at Get Your Podcast on Twitter, Get Your Podcast on Instagram. If you can't find me there, you can find me on Marks and Mikes. Yo, SC Dub, appreciate you, bro.
And I appreciate you as well. Massive thank you to Get Your Podcast there and your selection. Fantastic one as well there. Along with Shani, Showcase, Katie, thank you for getting involved as well. Along with Too Sweet Kyle from On The Mark Wrestling Podcast. And of course, how can we forget Ed Fries and Astrid Pizarro from our local establishment. Well, we have one vote left to go, and well, it comes down to 2 matches. We are going to have a winner with 4 votes each. We have Bret the Hitman Hart versus the British Bulldog from 92, Shawn Michaels versus Triple H from 2002. Those are joint top, but only one match can be voted as the greatest match in SummerSlam history, and I'm going to need one channel to give the verdict of what match it's going to be. It's someone who does interviews on a weekly basis, does 5 questions as well with his daughter, also does fantastic wrestling content across the board, covering such topics as MLW as well. Of course, we need someone that's going to get straight to it as well. So without further ado, let's get straight talk wrestling in the house to give your answer. What is the greatest SummerSlam match of all time? I don't know about you, but I'm on the edge of my seat here.
Hey everyone, George from Straight Talk Wrestling here. I was asked by SCW to give you my favorite SummerSlam match. I mean, for me, hands down, it's Bret Hart, British Bulldog, SummerSlam 92 Wembley. I mean, that match is iconic. I could watch it 50,000 times, 60,000 times, and I still see something new and something different in the storytelling. It's a phenomenal match, and it's something that I believe, I mean, as most people believe, it's already in the history books, but I believe it'll go down as an iconic match. So that is my favorite SummerSlam match. Peace.
So there you have it there. Massive thank you there to Straight Talk Wrestling there to giving us the answer there. What is the greatest SummerSlam match of all time? It is, of course, Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog from SummerSlam 1992 with 5 votes. In second place was Shawn Michaels versus Triple H, the unsanctioned match from 2002 with 4 votes. In third place was John Cena versus AJ Styles from SummerSlam 2016. In joint fourth place was TLC 1 from the year 2000 and Brock Lesnar versus John Cena from 2014. And then host of matches on 1 vote each. We've got Bret Hart versus Owen Hart in the blue steel cage from 1994. We've got Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon, the ladder match from 1995. Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle from SummerSlam 2003. We've got Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero, the Custody of Dominic ladder match from 2005. The TLC match from Jeff Hardy and CM Punk in 2009. Carmella versus Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair from 2018, the infamous turn from Becky Lynch where the man character started. We've got Trish Stratus versus Charlotte Flair from 2019, and we've got Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch from 2022. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog, the greatest SummerSlam match in history. I want to say a huge thank you to every channel that got involved in this video. Without you, this would not be possible. And I've got to say, every link to every channel is in the description of this video. So if you're watching this right now, head to the description, click on every link to every channel, go and support these fantastic content creators that do great stuff on their channels. Honestly, go and check out a video, hit a like button, leave a comment, and most importantly, subscribe to their channels. Make sure that you keep up to date each and every time they release stuff here on YouTube, and of course as well for some of the links I've given for Twitch as well that have Twitch channels. If you've enjoyed this video and you're not subscribed to my channel, make sure to subscribe right now. Hit the bell as well, you can be notified each and every time a new video is released. Hit the thumbs up as well and drop a comment below. Did we get it right or did we get it wrong? let me know in the comments below right now. I look forward to interacting with you. But thanks for watching as always. Enjoy SummerSlam as it comes along. Of course, 2023, we're not far away. The predictions video will be coming to this channel. I'll be doing a retro as well of 1998, give a review for that show, and also we'll be doing a watch along for the matches you should have seen. You voted for Bret Hart versus Owen Hart. That'll be the match we'll be doing on this channel. So like I say, plenty of SummerSlam content is on the way. Check out the videos on the side of your screen right now. Thank you for watching as always. You've been watching SCW here on YouTube. Look after yourselves and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.